Good afternoon. You're listening to the new WCEG network on WCEGTalkRadio.com or watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube, WCEG network. I am Celeste Giordano, your show host, along with my co-host Sarah Poe, and you're listening to the Global Legacy and Wealth Building. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at WCEG_talk_radio and at WCEG network. And last but not least, the topics and opinions are those of the show host and guest and not WCEG network. Thank you for your continued support. And thank you, Penny Rogers and WCEG network for this opportunity to serve our listeners and community. Hi, Sarah. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I am fabulous. Thank you for being here today. And we have a fabulous lineup. We have Steve Goins with North Gwinnett Kiwanis joining us today. And then we also have Linda Gunter with Love Him, Love Them that's back, that's going to talk to us about opening up the hospital in Haiti. So we have a great show lined up. So Steve, we are glad to have you here. Welcome to the WCEG Community Network. And how are you today, sir?
Hi, Celeste. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And you know what I'd like to do, Steve, I know that you serve in a capacity with Kiwanis North Gwinnett, but would you like to also introduce yourself and your the other job that you do and where you work?
Sure. My name is Steve Goins. I am a business banker with First Citizens Bank. My market is in the North Gwinnett community, the same as my Kiwanis Club. I'm a 20-year resident of Beaufort, and I have a wife, 2 teenage boys. And well, I take that back. One of my boys is not a teenager anymore. He's in his 20s. You know, I'm excited that I'm able to work and serve in the community where we live and are invested.
Well, absolutely. Well, we're glad to have you. And what I'd like to ask, Steve, is tell us, what is Kiwanis?
Kiwanis is a global community of clubs, members, and partners that are dedicated to improving the lives of children, one community at a time.
That's awesome. And so tell me, what are some of the things that the Kiwanis Club of North Gwinnett, what are they involved in and what do they do?
Well, there's several different projects that we do, several different organizations that we support in the community. We've identified 3 primary community partners that we work with, and that would include Wellroot, which is the former Georgia Methodist Children's Home. They are an advocacy group now for foster care and support foster children and foster families. We work closely and identify as a partner the North Gwinnett Co-op, and you know, they do a lot of good work in the community, helping to provide food and shelter. And then our other community partner is Home of Hope, which is the former Gwinnett Children's Shelter, and they are they provide shelter and job training for homeless mothers and their children.
I see. So what are some of the things that Kiwanis of North Gwinnett does in the community?
We work closely with those partners. We also do things such as we provide scholarships for graduating seniors in the 5 area high schools that we support. That would include Mill Creek High School, Beaufort High School, North Gwinnett, Mountain View, and Lanier High Schools. We try to be, obviously we raise funds and try to support our partners and other organizations and folks in the community, but we also don't want to be a check writing organization. So we get our hands dirty and we volunteer and try to support in ways with community service hours as well as with our checkbooks.
Very good.
So how did you become involved? What was the thing that got you out there?
I wish I could tell you, Sarah, that it was a noble cause that got me involved in Kiwanis, but in the early 2000s, I was working with a bank in the North Fulton community, And again, I was living here in Gwinnett and needed to get ingrained in that community. So I felt like I needed to get involved into something. And so I looked up several different of the organizations in the area with Rotary, Lions Club, Civitans, Kiwanis. And Kiwanis had one advantage that the other ones didn't. All the other ones either had a early morning breakfast meeting time or a late evening meeting time. Kiwanis and Alpharetta met at lunch. And so I went and visited them, and I was fortunate enough that they invited me to join, and I've happily been a Kiwanian ever since. But, it's not any sort of noble cause that led me there. It was just more of, my idea was to get ingrained and network within that community, and then it built from there.
Oh, that's amazing. We can do all sorts of things with just a little bit of inspiration.
That's true.
How has COVID affected your club this year?
It has been a challenge. There's no doubt. There's never been a president, and my tenure as presidency ends at the end of this month. Our fiscal year begins on October the 1st. I can honestly say that no one's ever been through a year that we've been through. But I can also tell you that, in spite of the challenges, and the challenges include, meeting, we've had difficulty being able to meet in person. When the stay-in-place orders was initially issued and we were unable to meet at our facility regardless, we kind of just sat around and waited for a few weeks, thinking that things are going to get back to normal. But as time went along, we realized that, maybe we're going to have to do something a little different, at least for the time being. So we started doing virtual meetings. We did, we utilized WebEx initially, and then we moved over to Zoom. And only recently in the past 2 meetings have we been to the point of having the option of meeting in person or doing a hybrid, and you can participate, virtually online as a member. But I say all that to also say behind the scenes, this club has really stepped up when the community needed it and made an impact. And for example, right after the stay-in-place order was in place, if you'll recall, here in Gwinnett, it was the spring break, and then right after the spring break week, schools were closed. That put a big burden on the North Gwinnett Co-op, and their shelves were getting empty pretty quickly. So we made the decision to reallocate we kind of just blew up our whole budget that we had planned for the year. We moved some funds over, and we basically gave $5,500 in cash from our to help them replenish supplies, as well as did a drive to get laundry detergents and other things that they had a critical shortage of to help them in that time of need. We also helped the program. The pastor of Buford First United Methodist Church is a member of our club, and he does a program called Sack Kids Lunch on Saturdays to provide lunches when school's not in session, on Saturday mornings or Saturday at lunch. And we bought supplies for them to be able to continue on, for their ministry. Then, as that's going on, one of the things that if you ask somebody what North Gwinnett Kiwanis does, of course we do scholarships, and we fund the primary source of funding for the scholarships has also been in the area of we sell Vidalia onions, and we've done that for years. I bet Jones probably hit you up for Vidalia onions.
Oh, I get my bag every year. Yeah.
Every year we get our bag of onions, sir.
I don't need them. I give them all away, but yeah.
Oh, 10-pound bag is a very large bag of onions. It'll take care of you for a while.
Yeah.
But honestly, this year we're looking at it because April, May is when the harvest comes in and we start selling and having onions delivered. And I'm sitting here in March, when this thing first starts, and I'm thinking there's no way we're going to be able to do onion sales this year. We also, we didn't have our Key Clubs that, which is our high school organization that Kiwanis sponsors to help with our sales, number one. And the other thing is, people aren't going to want us coming to their doors and exchanging cash and bags of onions. I said, we're not going to be able to do this. We're going to have to take a hiatus. But, one thing I can say is that I've had a successful year this year as president because I've learned to sit back and let the people in my club who are talented and passionate do what they do. And so they came up with a strategy that helped us this year sell onions, and some of it was still the same format, and that we'd drop onions off and maybe collect afterwards or what have you. But we used the technology that we had to do a lot more online orders. And then if somebody they could order online, select their quantity, pay, and then we would go and either drop them off at their front door if they're already paid, there's no transaction involved, or we had drop-off sites. Long and short is that we sold over 1,900 bags of onions this year, which netted us a little over $12,500 for ships. Which is only off less than $1,000 from what we did last year, which was a record year. So again, in spite of the pandemic going on, we stepped up. Our membership stepped up and did what they do, and they're to be commended. I'm very proud of them.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Steve, and to the entire Kiwanis Club, because it's a phenomenal group of ladies and men that make up that group.
I agree. And, and I give all the credit to them. I just try not to break it for my year.
Well, let me ask you something, Steve. What is the mission of Kiwanis?
Kiwanis, and again, as I kind of mentioned from the earlier statement about one community, one child at a time, Kiwanis is for kids. Kiwanis is going to serve the needs of children, whether that be fighting hunger, improving literacy, or mentoring and guidance. But whatever we do, that's what makes us different from other civic organizations. And our focus has to be, it's geared more to something with children.
Absolutely. And I think you also did you do your youth art show this year as well?
That's, and Joan is very instrumental in doing that. And I hope she's watching, because she does a great job with that. And that's something we've done for several years in a row now. And we support the high schools, the same high schools we're doing scholarships with. We have art, a place to display art and judge art, and provide an opportunity for them to go on the state level and even further and earn scholarship funding for through their work.
Absolutely. And through those high schools, do you also do some mentoring to some of those students in the
through the key clubs
and things of that nature? Yes, sir.
Yeah. In fact, we have key clubs in all of the 5 high schools that we sponsor. In addition to Key Club, there's K Kids, which is elementary school kids. That's an opportunity for that, and we don't have one of those within our area. And but that's another opportunity that Kiwanis gives for. Basically, you be a Kiwanian from first grade till retiree. We have what's called Circle K for which is the college level of Kiwanis clubs. Then I'll pass that.
Well, that leads me to the next question is, could you tell us a little bit about the history of the Kiwanis Club, how long it's been around, and tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Kiwanis was established in 1915 in Detroit, Michigan. And a lot of folks, they always ask, well, what does Kiwanis mean? And it doesn't really mean a whole lot of meaning. Well, actually, Kiwanis was established by some businessmen in Detroit who wanted to network. So Kiwanis comes from a Native American word, which is Nunk Kiwanis. You'll have to Google that, but it's Nunk Kiwanis, which means we trade, because initially the group was set up to be a networking group. By the time 1919 rolled around, the organization changed its focus, and they wanted to serve specifically children, but the name still stood since it was already, in effect. Almost immediately, Kiwanis started opening up other clubs in the area, and we expanded all over the U.S. and Michigan, or all the U.S. and Canada. But it wasn't until the early 60s that Kiwanis became an international organization. We opened our first club and chartered in Tijuana, Mexico. And now we are in 90 countries around the world. We have 550,000 members. Annually, Kiwanians host 150,000 as far as internationally in service projects. Do more than 19 million service hours, and they raise over $100 million annually to support community causes.
That is awesome.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. So how long has North Gwinnett been established?
We were established in March of 1939. And again, it was in Beaufort. It was called the Kiwanis Club of Beaufort initially, and it was stayed that way until 1988. And they changed the name to the Kiwanis of North Gwinnett. And for the past 30 years, we've been known for two things. Particularly as if you want to know what our brand is, and it's kind of what we've already talked about. We're the people that sell the onions, and we're the people that use the proceeds from the sale of the onions, and we give it to scholarships in the schools in our area. So, but that's kind of been historically. Although I read something in our minutes from the 50s and 60s. There used to be a fundraiser that we had which involved a horse show. I don't know whatever happened to the horse show, but it was apparently well attended from throughout the Southeast, is what the minutes showed.
That's interesting.
I thought so too.
Very interesting. So how has the COVID situation really affected your club? Have you adjusted well to the virtual and everything? And are you back meeting now? And do you meet, I think you meet what, on Tuesdays at lunchtime? Yeah,
we meet Tuesdays at lunch. And again, we're meeting back in person with the option to do a hybrid. And if you don't want to meet in person, you can still be involved and logging in virtually. One thing we don't have is, we have the best caterer, in all of anywhere I've ever been. We get some good food. It's great for marketing our club, but unfortunately, right now, it's not something that we can. Even now that we're meeting back, we're not meeting and doing lunches. You can bring your own, or we're just not to the point where we're able to do that yet. And we're socially distanced. And taking all the precautions that we need to with the COVID still around, and we don't take that lightly.
No, absolutely. So the meetings are they every Tuesday from 12 to 1? Is that correct, Steve?
We meet 3 Tuesdays a month.
Okay.
Are from 12 to 1. The meeting format, we always have a program which will involve a speaker that's somebody from the community. Right now, as being an election year, we tend to have a lot of folks that are running for office that want to come and speak to the club. But we'll also have leaders from industry. We'll have authors. People. One of the more interesting speakers we had, and I was surprised and really enjoyed it, and was pleasantly surprised, was a beekeeper. And he kind of, I didn't think I would be interested in that, but it was really fascinating when he shared that. But it kind of runs the gamut. We might have folks that are involved in a nonprofit cause as well.
Now, do you also do like a business after hours or something for millennials or something?
We did a focus on that. We haven't done it since obviously COVID's taken effect, since now they can log in.
Right.
One of the challenges that civic organizations have is quite frankly, we're aging out. And there's a couple things that we kind of analyze that are going on. Number one, millennials and younger generation, they're really not interested in coming and sitting for lunch once a week and listening to a speaker, but they are interested in community service. And rolling up their sleeves and being involved. So we set up what we call Kiwanis After Dark. And we want to give these folks the opportunity to be Kiwanians, no different than the ones that come to lunch, every week. We only meet, when we were meeting, we would meet once a month, different places around, the North Gwinnett community. And would identify, first we tried to look at it as maybe a networking opportunity for young professionals. That didn't really move the needle much, though. What did move the needle was when we would kind of have an opportunity to come together and focus and attack one project. For example, Christmas time this year, Wellroot, one of our community partners, had 112 kids that they were looking for Christmas gifts for. We did a kind of an angel tree type format. We did it in the After Dark program. And we were able to fulfill every one of those 112, wishes and did, provided Christmas gifts for each of those children.
That's great. Congratulations there, sir.
That's wonderful.
Sir,
with a backpack drive too for back to school. But again, we'll have a meeting, we'll identify the need, and then the next month, the meeting will be to celebrate the success. And that's kind of the format that we've gone with the After Dark program.
See, I like those. I love those type of projects because it doesn't take long. You start it, you finish, you're done, you see the rewards, and people really like that when you do like those type of projects, right?
It definitely, it became an attraction. We started realizing, a lot of new members who were joining. And again, it was a lot more economical to join too, because the lunch program included you're paying in advance for your lunches that are being catered. But for the After Dark, you're just paying your Kiwanis dues and that's it. And right. So, but again, the big attraction is I think people saw us out in the community and they wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah, because I'm a big proponent of let's do a can drive or a food drive, but you do it in a 2 to 3 week period. Done.
Yep.
Take pictures. It's done. Move on.
That's right.
Because short and sweet, and it doesn't take a lot of the golf. I've done golf tournaments. That's a lot of work. People have no idea how much work that is. And I've been there and I've done it 2 or 3 times. But you make more money in those things, but you've really got to have people who are willing to put forth the time in those.
Yep.
You can get different groups to help you out in the smaller projects.
My golf committee chairman is looking for his replacement after this year. And again, very successful tournament. Worked hard. He's a retiree. And we're like, well, you're retired, because this has been a full-time job. And it has. It's been a chore, but it's very successful this year. And he's going to take that success and mentor his replacement.
And that's a great way to do that, because then you've got somebody there who's participated, who's done it, who knows how to do it. And then you come in, you learn from them, learn their ways. And then when it's you, then you can change little things and know that it'll be successful still.
That's right.
Because another pair of eyes sees things differently. So,
it's definitely can be refreshing to change it up a little bit too. But again, the experienced folks have the contacts, the template, they know how to make it work. And then if you take that and build on it, that's how you make a successful golf tournament or successful any sort of recurring fundraising type effort.
Yeah.
Well, and it's pretty standard, Steve. I think that every year you sort of do the same thing with the same timing, whether it be the father-daughter dance in February, the youth art show in March, the Vidalia onions sale April and May, and then your golf tournament, and then what you do during the holidays, correct?
That's right. You got her down.
And so everybody really knows that, every year, these are the things that we're going to do where we're serving. And it's great when you get a group of people together that have servant heart leadership. And really a lot of people that attend Kiwanis, I've been to Kiwanis, I've been a speaker at Kiwanis, is that people love to serve.
Yes.
And that's what it's really about. It's about serving and helping other people and helping people in the community and the other nonprofit organizations, because it's the bigger picture than just us.
You're exactly right. And there's a little bit of friendly competition between the different organizations, civic clubs. But I can tell you a good example, when we came together, the Lions Club was helpful with us in Lawrenceville with our onion sales programs. And you left out the onion sales in that calendar. I forgot that. April and May onions. But they allowed us to have a drop-off place in Lawrenceville with one of their members who had a business there. And then when they had an opportunity they needed some help, they had a food drive that USDA had some sort of program that provides, farm to table type boxes of fruits and vegetables. And this was back in August. And we had volunteers that, as well as Rotary and some other groups that helped pass out these massive stacks of boxes of food to the folks who came in and drove through and got it. And it's just very rewarding. It's not like we're in our little silo. We're in this community together, and we're all trying to make it a better place.
No, absolutely. Sarah, you got some more questions?
Tell me about the scholarships to the high school. I'd like to hear more about that. I've got a senior at Mountain View, and
Okay.
maybe she can get one of these.
Maybe.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, she applies through the counselors, through the counselor at Mountain View, because that's certainly one of the schools that we support. I will tell you that this year, when we reallocated our budget, some of the funds we moved were out of scholarships, but we still made sure we were going to do scholarships at some level, and we did. But we do $1,000 scholarships per student. When we're fully funded for that, we'll provide $5,000 scholarships at each high school.
Oh wow, that's huge.
But this year we cut it back to just 2 because again we were funding moving some funds around. But we actually pre-COVID would have the opportunity to go on campus. We interview the applicants. They have an application they complete, and we go through. We have a panel that does an interview process, and we select based on the number of scholarships we're doing at each school, the ones that are being awarded those funds. And it's a good opportunity for us to see. I mean, if you want to get motivated to go and sell more onions or do the other things we do to fund scholarships, you get on one of those panels and see that, we had to decide between, we only had 4 scholarships to give, and then there's this 5th one that was just as qualified, and we couldn't, it really breaks your heart a little bit, but it really makes you motivated to make sure that you can help these kids. And so this has been something that we've been doing at least for the past 30 years I'm aware of. We started out just at Buford High School, and it's kind of grown. But this year, and again, another reason I'll give credit to our membership, we were going to do scholarships and we're still going to do the interviews. So we set up Zoom meetings and did them that way.
So would you reiterate those 5 schools that you offer the scholarships to for our listeners?
Sure. We do Buford High School, Mill Creek High School, Mountain View High School, Lanier High School, and North Gwinnett High School.
All right. And, and I know this through experience of people that I have talked to and friends and clients, that a lot of times parents don't know about these scholarships that are made available in the high school level, let alone the college level. Right. And so therefore, what advice do you have for our listeners here today of how they can guide their prospective student to inquire about scholarships that may be offered at their local high school, Steve?
I would think there's two things I would suggest. Number one, get involved in some clubs and extracurricular. Like people in the Key Club, the kids in the Key Club are very aware of the scholarships we're doing. In fact, they're helping sell onions and do other fundraisers to fund those scholarships. But the other thing is the counselors are aware of these, and if you'll ask them, they have been very helpful with us in guiding students to apply. And I think sometimes, our scholarships aren't 100% based on merit. They're not 100% based on need, but they are based on kind of looking at both. But the other factor we're looking at when we award our scholarship is, what have you done community service wise? We're looking for young people who are going to go away to college and hopefully come back to our community and dig in and help do some of the things, maybe even become Kiwanis, or if not that, they're coming back and making our community a better place to live. And so
absolutely, Steve. I know you, Sarah, and I mean, this is, very common knowledge to us about scholarships and guiding our children, our grandchildren, and things of this nature. But believe it or not, there are a lot of parents out there that don't know what they don't know. And maybe they've never had the opportunity to be involved in a servant leadership position in the community, or, maybe they don't know about the different types of scholarships. And there's several scholarships available on the high school level for those people getting ready to go to college. And there's, I don't know how many different ones there are, but there are a lot. And that parents need to have more information about how to go about that and guide them, because parents that have gone to school, went to college, graduated, come back and serve in the community, they're aware of building or helping their child build a portfolio and servant leadership and things of this nature. But then you also have the other perspective where maybe there's a parent out there that, just graduated from high school, didn't attend college, and never had an opportunity for a scholarship because they didn't go to college. And maybe their parents, worked in factories or something, and they didn't know about scholarships. So, and I think that's huge. I mentor a group of women at a local college that, again, one of these things, you have children, and I say children, you have people that go to school that come from divorced families, broken homes, and things of this nature. And then you have, like I say, some parents that never went to college and they don't know what they don't know to guide their children about these scholarships.
Right. So, yeah, I just think it's imperative to have that relationship with the counselors, the guidance counselors at the schools. One thing I want to mention too about our scholarships is I'm proud to say that that in the past, we're not just providing scholarships to a 4-year college or university. If somebody's looking and we think that they merit, just like anyone else, and going to a VOTEC type future, we certainly and we have in the past awarded scholarships to do the for VOTEC school.
Oh, that's great, because we still need plumbers and HVAC and welders. I mean, I was amazed at a kid that I know that went to Gwinnett Tech and became a welder, and he went through all 5 classifications. And at the end, he came out, he was making over $100,000.
Yep.
That I was like floored.
And here's the other thing to tell you, Sarah, as a business banker, the people that go and end up owning a small business, to say as a welder, as a plumber, a heating and air company, HVAC, they're folks that first off have been trained and know how to weld or plumb, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Or to repair heating and air units. So they learn the trade and then develop skills to develop for the business. Maybe they go back to a traditional school at that point, maybe not, but stepping outside of my Kiwanis hat and going to my business banking experience, that's who typically will develop those small businesses that are in our communities.
Absolutely. That I'm just so excited to hear that, because I don't think every kid is meant to go to college. I think some kids are meant to go into vocation trades and that sort of thing. And there is nothing wrong with that.
Steve, I have another question for you. And I know that WCEG network, their parameters go way out there. I don't know the exact numbers of how far it goes. It's not just in metropolitan Atlanta. But how many Kiwanis clubs do we have, say, in the metropolitan Atlanta area?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I'm not prepared to that, but I can tell you that, a couple of times a year we have the opportunity to go to statewide training, and we have a state convention. If I was to venture a guess, like there's 8 in our division, which would include all of Gwinnett, Cumming, and Gainesville. But there are 4 or 5 different divisions. My guess would be 30, 40 clubs at least in Metro Atlanta.
So does Kiwanis have a national website, or is it an individual chapter website that you could give our listeners if they wanted to look up in their prospective areas? How would they find a Kiwanis club in their area, Steve?
Well, first off, I will tell you that we as a club have our own website, and I encourage the viewers or listeners to go check us out there, which is www.northgwinnetkiwanis.com. And then the Kiwanis International website is, and give me just a moment on that.
That's okay.
Because my apologies here.
Hey, it's nice to have that computer at hand, though.
Well, I just know that we have a lot of listeners all throughout metropolitan Atlanta. And so for those listeners that are on different sides of the area, I'd like for them to know where they can go to look up Kiwanis and see about visiting a chapter.
It's www.kiwanis.org. That's the international website.
Absolutely. Appreciate that very, very much.
And so now that we're talking, all right, the bigger area, and I see these are the projects you do, like the father-daughter dance, the youth arts show, the Vidalia sale, the golf tournament that you do to raise, that's your largest one. Do the Kiwanis through the region, do they all do the same type of things, or do they all clue into what's best for them?
It might be more geared to what's more appealing in their community too, but certainly what's best for them. I know that in South Georgia, like the Vienna Club, for example, is involved in the big barbecue festival that they have down there. Mm-hmm. I grew up on the south side of Atlanta in Fayette County, in Peachtree City in Fayetteville. The baseball fields in the park in Fayetteville is Kiwanis Fields. The fairground in Noonan is the Kiwanis Fairgrounds. That was something that more so in the past, Kiwanis was more involved in providing real estate and building facilities for the community. I don't know that we do that as much now, but we do still have that legacy out there. But as far as fundraisers and as far as service, it's very varied. We have the autonomy to decide what's best for our communities and to go forth and do what's going to make the most impact.
But you do have some of the Kiwanis that do the father-daughter dance, correct?
There are some other. In fact, I would love to say that we invented the idea, but Jones' brother David actually brought the idea to us from the Kiwanis Club in Valdosta.
Valdosta, that's what I remember.
Yep. And the dance that they put together there, they've really established. I mean, it's the social event of the season in Valdosta. It's 4 sessions, and they'll have like television coverage of the local, affiliate, network affiliate there, filming and reporting on it. And we're not quite to the numbers that they are at, even with our over 1,000 attendees that we had. So we're still striving to build on to get to the point they're at, but they've been doing it for well over 20 years, is my understanding.
So tell me, so let's just say a father-daughter wanted to go. Do they have to be in elementary? Can they be middle, high school? Can it be?
We've had young as toddlers, and I know of one year that we had a lady who was in her 30s who just wanted an opportunity to go spend an evening with her father. I mean, there's been some touching moments. Yes. And so we don't typically the late session that we do on Saturdays we don't restrict it, but it tends to be an older crowd, and then the earlier session on Saturdays is younger, and then Fridays is a little mixed. But there's no age limitation. again, it might be, a father bringing his, 2-year-old daughter, preferably, hopefully it's something that they can remember and experience. But the thing is, they come back year after year after year after that, and it's kind of really neat. When I do the father-daughter dance, when I work as a volunteer, I work the coat closet, so it's really kind of cool to see some of the same folks coming back every year, and you watch as the daughters are getting older, and the fathers as well.
Well, and what a special occasion, especially in society today with our children. I mean, they grow up way too fast, number one.
Right.
And to have the mentorship of their father and teaching them at a young age I don't know what is the protocol of how to be a gentleman, and how younger generation should be acting towards them as well. So
absolutely. Initially, when we established the father-daughter dance, it was going to be a fundraiser, and in the first few years, that was kind of our focus. But as we kind of got to thinking about it and looking at what was happening, exactly what you said is kind of how we looked at it. This is an opportunity for fathers to take their daughters out for a night, spend some quality time together. I mean, it's red carpet. It's, pink chocolate fountain. I mean, every daughter walks away when she leaves with a long stem rose. I mean, it literally is the prom. But what I'll say is, we changed that focus from being a fundraiser to, we said, this is going to be our signature service project each year. So it's not considered a fundraiser, it's a service project. But the irony to all that is that, in spite of the fact, we just said we want it to pay for itself. We don't want to have to expense it to death. I'm sorry for my CPA friend there, Sarah. But we just want it to break even and to provide it as an opportunity for fathers to bring their daughters out. Well, in spite of that, this year, our non-efforts of making a profit turned into about $14,000 in net revenues that we're going to be applying for scholarships next year.
That is awesome. And Dave Williams and the whole Kiwanis Club does an amazing job, with that father-daughter dance. And so our hats off to you for bringing that into our community, for our younger generation, as well as for our fathers, being able to be there for their children and to lead their children by example of what it's supposed to be like, and setting that stage for them, which also leads up into, it also opens doors for people in the community that can donate to these organizations, donate to Kiwanis, like the father-daughter dance, because you need flowers, roses, that you can involve the community. And right. As a business coach, Steve, one of the biggest things that I talk to my prospective clients is it's very important to be involved in the community and give back. People like to do business with people who serve. And a lot of times, a lot of people don't understand the importance of serving. And so therefore, it's important to serve in the community. And there's so many ways that you can do that.
That's very true. And if somebody wants to come and serve in the community and work with us, at Kiwanis, then we would love to have you come and join us and share your talents along with what we have to make us, an even stronger organization and make up even more of an impact on our community.
Absolutely. So, Sarah, do you have any other questions for Steve?
See, my brain doesn't work the creative side, so I don't really think about that much, but you have a youth art show. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the art show, we work with the 5 high schools, again, the same schools we're doing the scholarships with. And Joan has taken that on in the past few years. She has a relationship set up with the art instructors at the different high schools. And so they'll encourage their students to submit some of their artwork that will be judged by professional, folks who are in the in that industry. I'm like you, Sarah. I'm not very creative and artistic, so I don't know where you find these professionals that are the artists, but Joan finds them and they analyze and determine who they select as the top in different grades and categories and things. And there's some fantastic artwork that is produced by our kids in our area.
Well, and again, another great way to be involved in the local high schools, and for these youth, teenagers, to be involved, to be creative, and to submit these things. Where is the art show held at? And I think they select those things and bring them to one location. Is that correct, Steve?
That's correct. The city of Sugar Hill has been kind enough to allow us to use their facility, which is in the city hall. But this is the last year we'll have it there, because they built a new facility in the development that's across the street from City Hall for the art community. And so I'm looking forward to how that's going to work out. Knock on wood, next year.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, but I just love how, kids who are very good at sports, they get a lot of opportunities. But I'm looking here and I'm seeing what we give you're giving all types of kids an opportunity.
Sure.
And I think that's so important today, because especially in the past 6 months, where kids have been at home and they just haven't been out, these are great opportunities for them.
Yeah, and again, we're not just check writers. We're actually getting to meet, to be involved, to see the result of our efforts, and especially when we're interviewing these kids for scholarships, and really getting to. If you don't mind, I'll tell you a story. I've served as the committee that does scholarship interviews for Buford High School for several years. And a couple of years ago, we had a young man that came to us. He wasn't academically on merit. He wouldn't have been somebody that you would have been at the top of the list. Need maybe a little bit. But what really touched our heartstrings, and we really felt like he was a good candidate, and actually got one of our scholarships, was he was telling us about his situation, and that he said he was really hoping to get a car at some point, because this is a senior in high school at Buford. His mom picks him up at the end of school every day. She takes him to his job, which was at a fast food restaurant. He works the fast food restaurant until close. Then he comes home and does his schoolwork until, however long that takes. Then goes to bed and wakes up early the next morning and does the same thing over and over. This young man was working full time, as well as, becoming a student. He volunteered to work our father-daughter dance, wasn't affiliated with Key Club or any organization. He just wanted to come and be involved, and he had some extra time, I don't know where, to do that. So, it was just, he just touched our heartstrings. And, again, he wasn't, top of class. He didn't really exhibit the need for a needs-based situation. But I think that young man is someone that will definitely be involved in doing something in the community based on, the experience that he provided us.
No, absolutely. We can't do enough to help these youth, teenagers, high school students, and to teach them and mentor them about servant leadership.
Exactly.
Because my grandparents taught me. I watched my grandparents. I watched my parents. It was never told that was something I had to do. I learned by example.
Right.
In my family. And not every family has that ability. Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely. So, Steve, again, tell us how people can reach out to you at North Kiwanis, and when is your next meeting?
Our next meeting is going to be held on October the 4th, because we don't meet on the 5th Tuesdays of the month. It'll be at the Buford Community Center. We've been meeting upstairs in the ballroom, and they're kind of getting spread out because of social distance. So that will be at noon on that Tuesday. Again, bring your own sack lunch if you want to come and join us. And I'm not sure what the program is that day. I should have checked that out, but we will have a speaker, and it's our first year in the new year. So the new president, Keith Howell, will be conducting the meeting. But if you wanted to get some more information about our club, I mentioned it before, but our website is www.northgwinnetkiwanis.org. And you can contact us. I'm sorry, it's .com, not .org is the Kiwanis International.
The international.
Right. So it's www.northgwinnetkiwanis.com. And then if you want to contact us via email, it's kiwanis.of.north.gwinnett@gmail.com.
Should they pre-register or just show up?
Just show up.
Okay.
We do send out an evite to our membership. We primarily did that back when we were still doing catering. So we would be able to plan for our caterer, but that's not necessary now. And if you're available and can come and join us on Tuesday the 4th, then we would invite you to be there.
All right. Well, I have another question for you. On social media, do you have any social media sites where they can follow you, Steve?
We have a Facebook page, Kiwanis of North Gwinnett, Kiwanis of North Gwinnett. So if you check that out, we are on Nextdoor, and we're on LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Very good. Do you have any last words that you'd like to say before we close the show out? Anything that you'd like to say or share with us?
Well, I don't know if any of my members will watch this. If they are, I just want to again reiterate what I said today during our last meeting of the year. I am very proud of what you've been able to accomplish this year. Through very difficult circumstances, and when the community really needed us, you were there. So, I can't be any more proud to be a North Gwinnett Kiwanian than I am right now.
Well, absolutely. And you know what? Your strong leadership has a lot to do with that as well, Steve. And we're very appreciative and grateful of your servant heart and your leadership of how you've led the Kiwanis Club of North Gwinnett this past year. So thank you. Thank you very, very much. And congratulations on all the success of the golf tournament, the Vidalia onion sales. Everybody's, COVID-19, pivot, this, that. You guys stayed the course. You did a phenomenal job with leadership and just stayed the course and kept your eye on the big picture, and you're having a successful year, and you're going to finish very strong, Steve. So thank you so much for everything that you do for the community, for the businesses, and for the nonprofits that you serve in the North Gwinnett area. Our hearts love your hearts.
All right. Thank you for having me on this interview.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
You too, Sarah.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.